Hey, welcome to Cheaper Jeeper. I'm Dino, your host. Glad to see you here. So maybe you bought a Jeep or you're thinking of buying one and you want to know how to use four-wheel drive. Well, today we're going to talk about that. Whoa, this is going to be fun. Well, let's say you bought yourself a Jeep Wrangler or you're thinking of buying one and you want to know, how do I use the four-wheel drive system? When you look down and you see two levers, you go, what am I going to do with that? So in this episode, we will review the basics on how to use four-wheel drive in a Jeep Wrangler. So let's have a look down here. Here you can see you've got the gear shift lever, which is pretty basic. You got your park, your reverse, your neutral, your drive, and then the M plus and minus. That's where when you're in drive, if you wanted to, you could shift to a higher or lower gear if you were inclined to do so to get some more power or to have the engine not rev as much. But anyway, that's your gear shift lever. Now here, this is the transfer case lever, and this is what you use when you want to switch in and out of four-wheel drive. By default, you would be in 2H. That's your two rear wheel drives in high gear, and that's what you'd be in by default when you're driving around town. Here you'll see the option of 4H Auto. This is the Selec Trac option, which was made available in 2018 to the Wrangler JLs on the Sahara model. And essentially the way this works is you would throw the transfer case into 4H Auto, and the transfer case would engage your front differential. It won't send power to the wheels, however, unless it is detecting any slippage in your rear tires. This is especially handy in Canada and the northern states when you might be driving on a highway which would have some dry patches of pavement where you wouldn't need to be in four-wheel drive, but when you encounter slippery conditions like ice, snow, or slush, the 4H Auto will ensure you get traction to your front wheels when you need it. So an amazing, fantastic option to have on a Jeep Wrangler. Now 4H part-time is your 4-high four-wheel drive selection on the transfer case, and this is where the transfer case will send power to your front and rear differentials and power the wheels in the front and the back for off-road use. So when you're off-road, on a forestry road, on gravel, loose dirt, rock crawling, that sort of thing, snow, and you should never be in 4H part-time on dry pavement, or what you'll have is binding in your gears, and the vehicle may start to hop or shudder when the binding is occurring, and you could cause some damage to your differentials that way. If by chance you have it in 4-high part-time and you do go on dry pavement, as long as you're going straight and not too long, you'd be okay, but that's definitely not to be used on dry pavement. Then of course you have neutral, and then you move down to 4-low, and that's basically four-wheel drive in low gear. So the transfer case will send power to your front and your rear wheels, but it'll be in low gear, so if you need to go up a really steep slope, or you're crawling over a rock, or pulling a boat out of a launch, you've got the low gear power to power you through. So let's take it on the road now and demonstrate how you shift between these gears. So when you're moving along the highway or just driving along the road and you want to switch from 2-high to 4H Auto, all you have to do without revving the engine is just coast along and shift the lever into 4H Auto. Now you'll drive along and the front differential is engaged, but there won't be power sent to your front wheels unless there's detection of slippage in your back wheels. Now, if you did want to go to 4-high part-time because you're planning to go off-road, you would go through the 4H Auto setting and just do the same thing, just switch it over, and now you're in 4-high. And all you have to remember to do is not be revving your engine. You can still be in drive and just be coasting along. I usually take my foot off the gas pedal when I do that. Now we're going to go into 4-low, and what I'm going to just point out is you must be down to a crawl, like 2 or 3 kilometers. And then what I also do, since I'm just at a slow crawl, I'll throw my gear into neutral, because then I can easily switch my transfer case gear to neutral, and then into 4 low. And there you go, I'm in 4 low now. And then put the vehicle back into drive, and that's as easy as it is. And then to get out of 4 high, just switch the gear into neutral, be at a crawl pace, switch it into neutral, and you're out. And then you could put it into 4 high if you like, and put it into gear, and there you go. Now, you might encounter some noise of the gears meshing together, and that's normal. So I just happen to do it fairly smoothly without hearing any noises. That's always preferable, but I've done it where it has created some noises of the gears meshing together, but like I said, that is the normal part of the process. I'm currently in 4-wheel high on slushy pavement, but I'm going to put it into the 4-wheel automatic. And now I'm going at about 60 kilometers an hour. I'm going to switch it into the 2 high mode. And there you go. My rear wheels are driving the car in 2 high mode. Also, it's important to note that the gear shift settings are not only visible here and lit up when you're in whatever gear you're in, they are also visible in your display here at the bottom. So as you shift gears, you'll be able to tell which gear you're in right there. And over here on this side of your display is the transfer case setting. So you can see 4-wheel drive autos lit up at the moment. And that's pretty much it. So please, if you have any questions, put them in the comments section below. And we hope that you found this helpful on CheaperJeeperTV. Now for some cheaper Jeeper tips. Okay, as you can see here, we are at the computer for this week's tips segment. I thought after seeing the basics of how to use 4-wheel drive in your Jeep, you might be developing an appetite for possibly taking your Jeep off-road for some adventure. Well, here's a tip that will not just be informative, but possibly save you some money. If you take a look here at the screen, we'll show you what I found from a brief search. So for example, there's the 4-Wheel Drive Association of British Columbia. They seem to be a very well organized group. Alberta has groups in the south or the north of the province. As you see here, the Northern Alberta 4-Wheel Drive Association. Saskatchewan Off-Road Vehicle Association has a Facebook group. The Manitoba 4x4 and Off-Road Club has a group. Here we have the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive in Ontario, and I'll come back to this one. We have the Fédération des Clubs 4x4 du Québec, which seems to be a well-organized group. I didn't find an off-road organization, but I did find for New Brunswick the New Brunswick Jeep Club, which seems to be a very active and organized group. Then we have Backcountry 4x4 Club of Nova Scotia. PEI didn't have an off-road club that I could find, but they do have this Facebook PEI Jeep Club. And then there's the Newfoundland Off-Road Society, which has a Facebook group, but I don't see a lot of activity there. So now looking at some of these more organized clubs like the British Columbia Club, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, you can see that they have a lot to offer for people who are interested. So for example, if we look at the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive, you have access to all kinds of dates, for example, at upcoming events. So if you look at the calendar of upcoming events, you can see all the different local clubs advertising upcoming events and inviting all interested parties. So it's a great site to see what's going on in your area. You also get educational materials on things like the safe wheeling guides right here. There's a lot of educational articles, like I'll just click on that one here, and here's one interesting. So you bought a new 4x4, so it's kind of like what I'm talking about, and they're discussing how the club will support people like you who might be interested in starting out. And then you look here on the trails section, they have this trail rating system where they go over the trails that they have in their index and they discuss what the rankings of their trails mean. So you could have a trail which is just maintained dirt roads. You have a 1+ trail which is semi-maintained where you might have 3-inch water crossing depths to contend with. You have a level 2 which is easy off-road trails that require 2-wheel drive and sometimes 4-wheel drive, and may also involve crossings of 6 inches of water. And then level 2 plus, easy 4-wheel drive, where you'd probably be in 4-wheel drive for the majority of the trail, and there would be crossing of water depths of 10 inches, say. And then they get into more levels of difficulty as you go through the scale. And if you were just starting out, you would just ask which are the stock Jeep friendly trails and work your way through them. Now you can see here in the Trails tab, there's a index of trails. So when you become a paying member, you could click on that and you could see their catalog of trails that are rated, and you could choose which ones you would like to go explore. But you know, some of the education that they share with you is that you shouldn't go to those trails alone. But that is what is great about joining a club, because they organize regular events that you could participate in with other people who have experience. And as you graduate yourself through these trails to your level of comfort, you can move to the next level when you're comfortable. So essentially, the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive serves as an umbrella organization at the regional level that advocates tread lightly principles, safety, trail management on behalf of the local clubs. And you can take a look here at the local clubs at the directory, and you could just peruse through the list and find a club that's in your area, contact them, read what's on their websites or their Facebook pages. And interestingly, a lot of them advertise as family-friendly organizations. So you can join a local club in your area, or you can join the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive and have access to the trail information and a vote at meetings. But if you join both clubs, you would get a discount. So let's take a look here at the membership. And if you were to join the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive as an individual member, you could see here that an individual membership costs $50. But here's a money saving tip. If you join a local club, as I did, the membership is $10, and then I would get a promo code to use in joining the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive. So if I were to come back after I got my promo code after joining my local club for $10, and I'm a club member joining, you could see here there's a box where I could put in the promo code, and when I do, the price to join the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive would drop to $25. Now, when you are an individual member of the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive, you'd have a vote, but if you were just a club member, your club gets 2 votes, but you don't get a vote individually. But, you know, it's up to you what you want to do, but that's a way to save money. It's a way to be connected with local clubs and also be associated with the Ontario Federation of 4-Wheel Drive so you could participate in their events. And they have a number of interesting events with newbie trail runs for new people, and other, like you see Camp Northern Lights, where they organize a big outing of interested Jeepers. So there you go. I hope that tip was interesting or helpful to you. Please share down in the comment section below any clubs and their activities in your area to let people know. And if you have other money saving tips, you could share that as well. Thank you. And now let's take a look at our subscriber tips segment.
And now for subscribers tips.
Hey, CheaperJeeperTV. I don't go off-road often, but when I do, I use an inexpensive air compressor that fits under my seat to adjust the tire pressure when needed. Feel free to share. Signed, Max Air. Hey Max, thanks for the tip. I do the same thing myself because I can't afford those big expensive proper air compressors that you see the hardcore guys do. So I just picked up a cheap one of these that fits under my seat, and I really like that it has the digital screen so that I can pump up the tires exactly to the air pressure I want, and it has an automatic shut off, so I don't have to sit there and watch it as it fills up. I could pack away my camping gear or whatever while the tires reinflate to the desired pressure, and it's got an automatic shut off. So it's pretty convenient and not too expensive, and there will be a link below in the description section for anybody interested in getting a similar type product. So that'll be all for this week's CheaperJeeperTV episode. We hope you found it informative. Please remember to subscribe, share, or like, and add any of your own CheaperJeeperTV tips to share with other members of our CheaperJeeperTV community. See you next week.